Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's live trading action video. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Today's date is Tuesday, October 24th, 2017. Well, folks, markets have been in a very quiet kind of floating mode today. We saw initially a little bit of a gap up, and the same thing occurred once again today, meaning that we saw the profit taking take place in the first 30 minutes of the day. Now, in the early morning session, this has been something that has happened every single day. And what does it mean? I mean, let's discuss right now. So it doesn't mean anything that the top is right here. It means we're close, though. All right, why does it mean we're close? Well, because the selling here is basically institutional selling. I've talked about this to our members quite a bit at InTheMoneyStocks.com. The only period of the day that has decent volume is the early morning, meaning the first hour of the day. Once you get past that, volume really subsides, and it makes it very tough for the bigger positions that these institutions, hedge funds have to sell. So the only chance that they have of unloading any of these positions is to do it in the early morning, and that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping for a little bit of a gap up like we got today, and then what they do is they just sell as much as they can, pushing the market basically back to the flat line right around there, and then they step aside. And they step aside because when the volume gets too light, they would crash the market if they were to continue to sell too heavily. So obviously they don't do that. But the key here is to understand that the bottom line is that's what's going on, and it doesn't tell you that they're unloading drastically. It just tells you that they're selling some of their positions, and then notice the market goes back into a float mode. Now, we did have a little bit of a rollover here in the late afternoon. That was on the back of some worries over tax reform. Jeff Flake, Republican from Arizona, not seeking reelection, and he just ripped Donald Trump on the Senate floor, I believe. So you have a lot of infighting here going on between Republicans and Trump, and the worry is that that may cause tax reform, tax cuts not to get through. So we'll have to see again how it plays out. Honestly, I have no clue. I do think the market has built in partially. I would say the market's built in that there's about a 70% chance of tax cuts getting through by year end. So that is a net positive. Assuming it comes through, there's still 30% upside left from this move, this most recent move. But if it doesn't happen, there is some downside to be careful of. Now, a couple things I want to go over here, folks. Number one, we had a nice reversal day yesterday. Today, we did not make a new high on the spiders. Doesn't mean much, but we just want to continue to follow in case we start to roll over and take out yesterday's low. A reversal like this yesterday is not a huge signal, but it is a small signal of a potential top there. And what we're looking for here is, do we start to float down, make a new low, make a lower low essentially without making a new high? And then what you'd actually have here, let's just assume, I mean, for the case of argument's sake, that this was the high and we rolled over, and let's just say we went down here. What you'd then have is you'd have a high, a lower high, a low, and then at that point, a lower low. So you'd start to get a few signals of a pullback going on there. There is a chart that I think is very, very overdone. It's the DIA. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 179 points today, folks. We almost hit 23,500, which we just crossed and closed above 23,000. I think last Friday was the first day we closed above 23,000. So pretty remarkable. You're getting a little bit of a doji here today, which is a topping signal on the DIA tracking ETF. But what's more important here to me is the extension move away from the 200. So the 200 MA, you're now literally over $24 over trading on the DIA above the 200 MA. If you look at history, we have never been that far away. This was one of the furthest distances away in recent history. And here we were only about, let's see here, you were only about $18, 19, maybe 20 away. So we're now 24 away. And you can see once it got that far, you did have a nice little pullback here on the DIA. So again, makes me think that there's a likely scenario that the Dow is in the process of topping here, at least in the short run. I'm not going to pretend to know if, in a month from now we're not at new all-time highs. I just think the Dow itself is probably getting ready for a little bit of a pullback. One chart that's reporting earnings after the bell that I like quite a bit is Chipotle Mexican Grill. I am currently not in, so I just want to make that clear. But again, if you're an aggressive trader and you like playing these type of things, this would be a bullish chart. Look at the consolidation, the bullish consolidation here going on. You're just coming off major lows here. The bullish consolidation, both flags taking place above two dual major moving averages right there. I honestly think that you could see a move up on this stock, at least as high as 360, maybe as high as 400 as a target just on earnings alone. And again, there's no guarantees with earnings. Charts tend to have a higher failure rate, but it does favor the upside. There's no doubt about it. I would say 60-40 chance of good upside here. Very, very significant upside on CMG Chipotle. We will get some earnings from some other plays out there, folks. One of them is Akamai. Akamai reports after the bell. Akamai's been grinding up. I really don't have a good read on this, to be honest, just because it's off of its highs. It's not at the lows. I mean, maybe you fill this gap right here, which is just a little bit of upside, about $2 upside. But again, there's nothing major there. We do have some other reports after the bell. I would say one of the bigger ones is Texas Instruments and AMD, two chip stocks. So these actually could be very influential in what happens to the semiconductor index tomorrow. AMD here, looking at AMD, it's an okay chart. This could be bearish. I mean, if you look at the channel that's been built here, it looks like we got a little bit of a channel here, which is inside this down move, but you are trading above the moving averages. I would rate it slightly negative, but overall just slightly. And in all fairness, these chip stocks have been so hot, so it's very hard to bet against them. Texas Instruments is another one. This one's been on a crazy run, folks. TXN. Let's get that chart up. I mean, look at the run recently. I would be slightly bearish on this chart because it is just so short-term extended, expecting a little bit of a pullback. But I will say this, is that even if you get a pullback, it's very possible the stock will head higher in the near term after just a day or two pullback, because this even number of 96.50, I mean, you got to think it's going to 100. All right, a good example of this would be JP Morgan. I called this days ago. I said, listen, once it was at 96, 97, I said, this is going to 100. I mean, there's no way JPM is not getting through 100. Sure enough, today it just bursts right through 100 as we see interest rates move to the upside. There's been a lot of charts like this that have gotten to these very, very key major even numbers like 100, 200, 300 kind of things in the overall market. So, again, we'll see how things trade out. Going back to the spiders are up about 45 cents on the day. Not a big move by any stretch, only 0.18%, but I think it's important to just recognize that the markets are still looking like they're floating. The only positive about today and yesterday that I can see here, folks, is the volume. Yesterday we did about 45 million. Today we're going to do more than that. The average for the last month has probably been 32 million. So we're doing, all of a sudden, the volume is kicking in here a little bit. Honestly, I was asking, where the heck is it? Because over the last 2 months, I mean, ever since September, right? We came back in September, the kids were back in school. You expect normal volume to come in, which is, even light volume should still be around 50 million a day. And we were still doing, you know, 30 million, 32 million. It's ridiculous. So I'm very happy, in the very least, to see the volume kicking back in. That's a very, very nice positive there. Now it's a matter of, ultimately, what does the market end up doing here? All right, guys, bottom line is, come join us at InTheMoneyStocks.com. Yesterday, I took a 60% profit in the options alerts on Macy's. We also took a profit on Qualcomm. And again, just looking for these opportunities, either bullish or bearish for setups. Let's see what Chipotle does after the bell. Again, very interesting. Remember, that's high risk. Remember, I'm not in it currently. But again, I do think it has actually a very attractive chart for those of you that are riskier traders. All right, talk to you soon, guys. Take care.